It's a podcast in France where we talk about French politics, but EU politics. And today I wanted to talk about the farmers in Europe and especially in France, because this week is the opening of the French Agricultural International Show, where all French farmers are going to show their work and where all politicians are going to show their work as well. And the French president, Emmanuel Macron, went on Saturday for the opening. And to be fair, it was quite a mess. If you look at the images, it seemed that riots happened inside the show, inside the event. There were more than 1,000 policemen to protect the president. Initially, Emmanuel Macron wanted to discuss and debate with 100 farmers and unions about the future of French agriculture. But since the unions refused to participate to the debate, Emmanuel Macron had to basically improvise sort of a smaller debate with a few farmers around him to explain what was on the table for the future of French agriculture. It's not only in France, it's everywhere in Europe where farmers are fierce, they are in the streets, and they are talking about why they can't make a decent living out of their job, basically farming. And without farmers, no food, nothing. So what is the problem? First, there is the European Union. This structure, which has been growing since the 60s, is basically trying to put together all the European countries, 26, 27, minus Great Britain after the Brexit, to make sure that all countries in Europe are working together with one currency, the euro, and also one single market. And this single market basically doesn't help farmers from European countries. And since the war in Ukraine 2 years ago, a lot of agricultural Ukrainian products came into the European market and make it difficult for Polish farmers, French farmers, but also Dutch farmers to make a living out of what they do. And the farmer tried to explain this to Emmanuel Macron, that the international treaties, the international trade treaties were not made for farmers. It was not something that would help them make sure that they could do something. But Emmanuel Macron is not really on the ball to explain what is going on and how to proceed. Now the farmers in France want clear answers and they demand actions. So far, it's been a lot of talking, like in France, and not so much action apart from the riots in the agricultural show. So what is to be made out of this? Basically, it seems that everywhere in Europe, the problem is the same. Farmers can't live out of their job. And the price of agricultural products is rising up. It's very difficult to find a solution, and Emmanuel Macron might not find a solution on his own. But if you look at what the EU is doing, the European Union, so far, it's still pushing in the same direction of international trade treaties to make sure that Mercosur, for example, a treaty with South America, is getting into action in the coming month. French farmers don't want this. Dutch farmers don't want this. Spanish farmers don't want this. But French, Spanish, Dutch politicians, they are all trying to stop or slow down the European ideology. It's going to be very difficult in the future to find solutions. And the farmers in France said that there will be further actions, even after this agricultural show, even after what Emmanuel Macron promised. And there's not much that was promised apart from less regulation, less tax, less new taxes on climate change. But apart from that, it's not enough for the farmers. Really, they're saying that they need more. What you see here is some French ministers behind Emmanuel Macron trying to put a face within the riots that was happening downstairs while Emmanuel Macron was having a press conference on the first floor of the agricultural show. Emmanuel Macron finally stayed more than 13 hours to discuss with various farmers. Also, a lot refused to discuss with him and left the show, and even some animals like cattle and cows and pigs were exfiltrated away from the show. And you had more policemen than animals in the show. yesterday, on Saturday, in Paris, France. We don't know what's going to happen. Emmanuel Macron promised another conference at the Élysée Palace in 3 weeks' time with the unions, when everyone will be more quiet. On Sunday, Emmanuel Macron wasn't there and the show was okay. No riots, nothing. What is the problem? I mean, it's been years now, 7 years, since Emmanuel Macron has been elected, and every month you might have seen some riots in France. The street of Paris on fire, the yellow vest, the gilets jaunes, and all the strikes against the pension reform that was happening back in 2023. It seems very difficult to live in France and to work in France, but no, it's okay for a lot of French people, but the normal French people, you would say the man on the street, find it very difficult, very hard with the inflation to make a living. Not only the farmers, but everyone is struggling. We'll keep an eye on the French political scene as well as the European political scene. If you're interested, put a comment, like the video, and maybe we'll do more of this weekly roundup in English for all the people interested in French politics. My name is Alex Poulin, and this is The Modern World. Thank you for listening.